So it is officially official. January is over and I just received next to nothing in dividend income. Now, that may seem like rather depressing news, I'm sure for many of you. I'm actually ecstatic about it. Why? Because as many of you may know, I recently adjusted my approach to dividend investing, really honing in on dividend growth investing, like with a capital G. And thanks to said adjustment, well, I'm just going to go ahead and show you firsthand by clicking into my portfolio tracker with Gutman, which, by the way, there is a link down there in my pinned comment and in my description for any investor who wants to start tracking their market performance, which I highly recommend. But either way, I finally smashed through $250,000 in my brokerage account alone, which is huge. Now, if you've been following me for just a hot minute, you may recall me sharing with all of you just months before closing out 2024 that my goal in 2025 is to just grace $300,000 in that very brokerage account. But at the rate that I'm currently going, well, I might have just totally underestimated the stock market and my abilities, and really do believe that at my current rate or investment strategy here that I'm putting forth will bring me $350,000 to $400,000 by the end of the year. Now, only time will tell, so just be sure to actually stay tuned by subscribing to the channel. However, I do want to talk about my strategy for a moment, just in case you want to steal it. Then I want to talk about why I'm not so concerned about such a lackluster month in terms of dividend income. And finally, I'm going to open up about which dividends hit my account, what I think about the companies, and then at the very end of the video, we're going to jump right into my personal dividend tracker, just so you can see how this dividend snowball is rolling. But before I even get there, I want to click back into Gutman with all of you so you can actually just come to understand what's underneath the hood of my investment portfolio. So clicking here on show more, we're actually going to see that my portfolio breaks down heavily into exchange traded funds at this point. Two in particular, which we're going to discover more about in just a moment. They make up almost 50% of my portfolio. But from there, we get then into individual dividend stocks, or I'll say stocks rather. But then I want you to notice that at one point I had about $20,000 set aside on the sidelines in a cash position that currently dwindled down to roughly $6,000, equating to about 2.4% worth of my portfolio. Now, if we dive into the sector tab here, we're going to get a feel for what my portfolio covers, and we're going to see that I am in fact tech heavy, and as any investor at a younger age should, as long as you have decades to go before retiring, I think this is just the right move. Either which way, we're going to take a look here that my portfolio is primarily made up of tech that totals about 55.5% of my entire portfolio. From there, I get my toes back into safer waters, if you will, as an investor, as I'm invested in healthcare, and that weighs in around 13% of my portfolio, followed by the financial sector here weighing in around 10.4% of my portfolio. And then from there, we're going to see slices of other sectors that cut across consumer staples at 5.4% of my portfolio, industrials at 4.1%, and even smaller slices here, whether it's the energy sector, business services, consumer services, materials, and the smallest of the bunch, utilities and communication services. Now, let's go ahead and click into the positions tab so you can actually see what's in the portfolio. We're going to see that the S&P 500 itself through Vanguard's S&P fund, ticker symbol VOO, is the largest position in my portfolio, totaling out to just over $67,000 and will forever remain my investment foundation. And then on top of that, layer number 2 of the investment foundation, we have Vanguard's tech ETF, ticker symbol VGT, which is strictly focused on technology investments, now totaling just over $58,000 worth of my portfolio. Then we get into individual holdings here with Apple as the largest, totaling out to over $28,000 worth of my portfolio. And then we have Alphabet here as a close second, coming in at around $27,445. Now, these tech players are long-term holds, and each has proven themselves to be ideal investments given our future, so I'm only going to continue to buy on any dip opportunities and enjoy the growth over time while collecting the chunks of dividends along the way. Thereafter, we're going to have one of the more recent adds to my portfolio, which is United Health, capital G here with the growth, totaling almost $26,000 worth of my portfolio, as well as another $8,700 plus worth of Visa, which will grow likely here in 2025. So again, just stay tuned to see what I do with Visa. Then we're going to find Tesla and Amazon as the two non-paying dividend stocks in my portfolio, followed by Realty Income, totaling just over $6,000. My cash position here, which is currently amounting to roughly $6,000, that will increase. Then Lockheed Martin totaling just under $5,000. And my newest addition that will be more of like a swing trade. If you stick around, you'll find out, but that's NVIDIA, which totals just about $3,000. So only a sliver of the the overall pie, but I couldn't resist after the DeepSeek news came out and shocked the market and rocked the entire tech sector. Well, Nvidia, I saw just a lot of emotional selling going on, so I went ahead to buy. Anyway, now that you got the inside scoop of my portfolio, I'm here to say my entire strategy has shifted from a major focus on dividend income and higher dividend yielding stocks to a more powerful approach, in my opinion, which is dividend growth investing, meaning growth over time. Now, the reason I made the big switch is simple. My investor profile not only allows for it, but it calls for it. I'm 30 years old. My investment timeline sums up in decades. And more than that, my goal is not necessarily to live off of dividend income tomorrow or next year. Therefore, growth has become essential in terms of dividends and even just share price appreciation. Now, after making the big adjustment, investors, I'm just going to come right out and tell you the truth. The growth has been unreal. And therefore, I only suspect 2025 is again going to be an exceptional year, despite what you're all about to see when it comes to my dividend income. However, I'm not worried about it. We're going to get all into the dividends right now, and you're going to see kind of just how lackluster of a month I really had. But that aside, because it's about the long-term growth on both dividend growth and appreciation, I don't really care. I'm shrugging it all off. And if you want to steal this approach, it is all yours. Either way, the very first dividend stock to actually pay me out this past month in January has come right down to good old and trustworthy Realty Income. That's ticker symbol O. Now, this is a net lease behemoth. It is a leader within the industry. It's honestly been one of the stocks that I've given thought to actually selling out of, but just for the time being, on the monthly income that it dishes out, I'm just going to hold tight for now. Again, it's on a TBD sell list, but again, we're going to take a look at that at the right time. Realty Income's got 15,000 properties, over 1,000 clients, spans across the United States and just globally growing. It is quite an industry-leading titan. Now, when interest rates are unlikely to be cut, like we just experienced, the stock itself will remain in the red, which is currently what we're seeing, as you can see there on screen, making for a solid buy opportunity if you are in need of cash flow now or just looking to increase your monthly income overall. Now, scrolling down, we are going to discover that Realty Income has an incredibly healthy income statement. As you can see, revenue is just continuously being generated. That makes sense. I really see this as you taking a stake in real estate and just getting paid as a landlord. And then we can scroll right on down to the balance sheet. That proves itself squeaky clean with over $57 billion in assets, while also increasing those assets by over 16% as of recent. Now, for only owning 115 shares of the company, I received a dividend for $30.42. Thanks to that dividend coming in at 5.82% worth of a yield, and all thanks to this safety score here of an 80. We get the payout ratio there at a 75. That's pretty low, a 55-year dividend streak, and a steady 5% average dividend growth rate, which is probably going to make you set for life. Now, Realty Income was the only actual dividend stock that I received a dividend from, but just having my money in a settlement fund with Vanguard, I of course received a $22.93 payout. So in this past month of January, I brought in a grand total of $53.35. And in clicking into my actual dividend tracker, you will notice that January has just become literally the lowest month that I've seen in terms of dividend income in quite some time. But factor in what I said all along, which is that it's all about total return. It's all about dividend growth. It's all about growth over the long term. And voila, you're going to get some magic in terms of what I'm really looking to accomplish and just how I'm going to get there. Now, I'm incredibly optimistic about my plan, even if it means sacrificing a little bit of the dividend income right now. You are all ultimately going to see what exactly investing is all about if you're staying tuned here on the channel. Now, investors, I'd love to know just how much you brought in the month of January. Of course, I'm assuming a lot of you beat me out, but let me know down there in the comments. Also, let me know what you think about my strategy. If you're planning on implementing anything similar, I would absolutely love to know all of your experiences. So again, comment down there in the comments. Let me know what you're all up to. Go ahead, tune in right here to this video if you're really looking to catch some insights from a true dividend millionaire, literally someone who just invested in dividend stocks, hit millionaire status, and is thriving off of dividends. With that, I will catch you all in the next one.